Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief. Mayor, would you like me to make the notification to Mr. Ariano regarding his status?
Yeah. Now we're going to put a formal resolution on the open session, right?
To make the appointment.
Yeah, to make the appointment, yeah, okay. All right. All right, we're back in the work session. The first item we have is a discussion of 2013 appointments. I did get Denise's memo dated November the 2nd with the list. I haven't had an opportunity to really look into it in great detail because it happened on soon after the hurricane, so I will get around to it. Number 2, agreement, shared services, custodial safekeeping, River Edge Schools. I don't know if everybody saw in their packets, there was a request from the Board of Ed to either, was it to put a safe?
Yeah, to keep a box here.
Yes, to keep a box in our safe.
Keep a box in our safe with important documents. There's an agreement, a draft agreement that was drafted by Mr. Suresti. Does anybody have any questions regarding that?
No.
No? What do you need, Alan?
Just all eyes on it, and we'll have a resolution placed on it to enter into the agreement.
Okay, thank you. And number 3 is the...
So we just have the motion?
Yeah. All right.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's why I asked, what did you need? The next is the ADA door bid.
Thank you, Mayor. We had gone out for a third time on the ADA doors, and the scheduled receipt of bids was on the day of the hurricane. And due to the lack of power and the weather incident itself, Borough Hall was closed, and we were not able to complete the statutory requirement of opening the bids. We had received one bid prior to the scheduled date of bids, and there was interest among several other contractors as to the bid, but we did not receive those because of the hurricane. We received a legal opinion from Sam Suresti, who was advising us to reject the one bid that we have, and I would ask that the council consider authorizing the clerk to go out the bid one more time. Once we complete that requirement, we can see whether we receive any bona fide bids, and if not, we would go back to the Community Development Block Grant for further direction. Any discussion? Alphonse?
Can't we simply go to the, the county and just say, listen, we went out to bid again. That was, what, the third time?
Third time, yes.
There was the hurricane. Can we just, send this out and break it down into whatever component parts and, and have an open process and hire people to get this done? I mean, because this is the fourth time. I mean,
We have a resident that's been, complaining.
I mean,
It's just delayed so long.
I have a little concern about this only because I had 2 contractors call me and say, you can't possibly have read that bid because she was closed, and they were right. In fact, we didn't have one in the safe a week prior to that. That would have been fine if I was open and I read the bids and that would have been read. I'm a little concerned that they're going to come back to me and say, well, what do you mean you're not going to have to bid again? I mean, I don't know. I think that's another legal opinion, if that's the way to go. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I think we may have a problem because it was scheduled for opening.
yeah, I understand that, and I understand that we only had one bid, and it was in the safe for a long time, and we couldn't open it on the day of the hurricane. But before going out for the third bid, Alan contacted Community Development to find out if they would permit us to award the work on a quotation basis without public bidding, and they advised him, try it one more time.
Right.
So we tried it one more time, and now the council seems to be saying, let's go back to Community Development and say, we tried it one more time, it didn't work, can we go and do it by quotes? And Alan will call up the other two contractors that said that they were interested, and he'll get quotes, and he'll report back to us. It might, I think that's what
Let's just
we'd like to do.
want to try and get this
Door.
moving forward.
And concrete.
All right, so Alan, you want to do that?
Yes, I'll go back to block grant and see if we can do this on a quotation basis. And if that's the case, I will reach out to these vendors who had an interest and see if they are interested in providing a quote rather than go through the whole bid process.
All right.
At this point, we won't be breaking it down into component parts because it seems that we have 2, 3, maybe even 4 vendors who might be interested in taking on the project as a whole, and that would satisfy the block grant.
Okay. All right, so...
We'll report back at the
all right.
next meeting.
On the work session consent agenda, which is the next item, I would just like a motion to amend number 3, because we still have to reject that bid, but the second portion of it is to authorize the clerk to rebid. I have a motion just to delete that.
Do you mean
from the consent
number
agenda.
3? Oh, you mean delete this for discussion number 3
No.
or change number 2?
On the resolution.
Resolution.
On the resolution.
I'm not following, sorry.
Resolution 391?
Okay.
Right.
So moved.
Resolution 391, that's the rejection of the bid. Is that all the resolution says, or does it say rebid?
It says we did, Mayor, at the very end.
All right, so I would just like a motion to amend that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good. Okay, any council reports? I don't have any mayor's report. Do you have
We have,
a report?
On the amended, there's number 4, or is that marked off?
No, it's not in that.
Added, right?
Change-
Change order number 2?
Yellow, highlighted.
It was in the amended.
Revised agenda?
Yeah.
Right there, it says yellow.
Oh, yeah, change order. Okay, change order Van Or Electric.
Thank you, Mayor. We received a memo request for a change order. A total amount of $6,000. Funds are available. This is to remove a plywood sheet and posts previously installed, furnish and install a concrete masonry unit, wall and foundation for support of the public safety building generator, and also install a concrete pad for the new ATS as well. Quote was received from the construction firm of $6,600. These recommendations for the change order came from a committee. Neil Carroll is here, our 911 communications officer. He was part of the committee that looked at this change order, and perhaps you could open it up to Neil to provide us with some additional comments.
All right, can I open up the floor to Mr. Carroll so he can explain this change order?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All right, Neil, my obvious question is, didn't we know we had to put in a concrete pad before we...
That's not the concrete pad. He's mounting a 3,000-pound transformer switch outside the building. And as you can see from Exhibit A, it's on 2 6x6 posts with a sheet of, I guess, three-quarter plywood?
Right.
And John Lynch says, not on my building. That's how the conversation started, because we don't know whether it's going to last 3 months, 3 years, or 10 years, but it shouldn't be on a plywood sheet, especially with the amount of voltage that it has, and it should be protected. So John came up with the plan as remove the plywood sheet and the posts furnish and install a concrete masonry wall, and it was going to be 8 foot high, and basically come right off the corner of the building there, come out, and a block wall, and then, rather than see a block wall from Kinnickmack Road, to match the existing brick on that wall and all the electric components that he was going to... Originally, it was supposed to go in the basement. I don't know, because on the specs, it says remove all the phone wires. So we would remove all the phone wires for both the Borough Hall and the Public Safety Building. And then, for some reason, the contractor decided he was putting that outside. And that's how he was going to hang the transfer switch. So myself, John Lynch, Councilman Mignon, and we made a management decision that we were going to go with John Lynch's recommendations. And the contractor was supposed to come up with a plan and a price and submit it, and I believe Alan got it on Friday.
Is the switch going to be on the, is the switch going to be on the side of the wall facing Kinnickmack Road?
That part I don't know. He's
Or
got,
on the back-
if you look,
backside?
the wiring is from the pole on the north side of the driveway, goes underground, comes to the generator, and from the generator comes under the driveway and comes up right in the very corner of the building. You'll see the 3-inch or 4-inch pipe right there.
Right.
There's a secondary section of things that we need for the backup plan, and that includes wiring the wires from that one you're supposedly getting for the next council meeting, is to, when the Borough Hall can back up on generator, they had no internet, and I don't know if it was really because of Cablevision being down. My guess is that when they ran the wires to the basement, nobody wired to the second floor of the Public Safety Building, where all the connections that the police department needs for the desk, they don't have, and the internet for the Borough Hall and the Public Safety Building are all in that wire rack. So one of the recommendations is to wire from that rack on the second floor down to the panel that controls the backup generator. And then there's no lights in the hallway. Only the desk was considered, and the basement locker room and the radio room was the only thing that were on the generator.
Right.
So we want lights in the hallway so we can go to the bathroom or go to any of the offices on the lower floor. And also the phone lines are in this building, and the UPS for the phone lines are in this building. We've got them wired over to the Public Safety Building, but they're not on the generator. They're in the panel right next to it. So when we expand that panel that actually controls the police department, we're going to move those wires over so that they're on the generator. And the most important, I just found out from the police department, is that the sewer pump is in a closet in Bobby McDonald's office, and even though the hallway locker room has power and the radio room has power, nobody wired the sewer pump. And it seems after 3 or 4 days of no power, we had a problem with the odors from the sewer pump because we weren't pumping anything out of the building. So it's just to catch these few things on the agenda, and according to the architect, they weren't ready for tonight's meeting. He'll have it ready for the next meeting. But the wall is something that John Lynch feels definitely has to be done. And I've been in correspondence, well, as recent as the weekend, with Councilman Mignon, and he thought both things would be on the agenda for tonight, but the architect sent me a text at about 5 o'clock tonight, and he said that's going to be ready for the next meeting.
This is necessary in order for the job to continue, Mayor, as I understand it.
Yeah,
I believe the
understand that.
generator's coming the end of next week.
Just that we, I think as a governing body, don't like this misuse of change orders, this constant change orders that we get.
Just one question. I just want to make sure with the amount of money that we're spending on this, when this generator's up and running, it's going to be like, no, you won't even notice that anything has changed. That this building and that building are going to work like the power didn't go out.
Seamless.
Seamless transition. Is that going to happen, or are you telling me there's going to be a couple little things here or there that aren't going to work? Because
The problem is,
that shouldn't be how it's...
I've personally been involved since, prior to 78, but 78 was the ultimate of being out for 4 days, and we had generators from the fire department running the police department to keep their phones and their radios going, but they had nothing else. And the possibility of the generator that we had outside, I know I could probably go back through the records, probably 15 times the generator failed. I questioned the councilman just recently. The Fort Lee generator was out for, I guess, 15 hours in Fort Lee, and the backup is a plug that's in the back of the building that we can, for minimal expense, be ready rather than walking down the block and going to the library.
But just going to my question, as far as you understand, because you've been, involved in this ad hoc generator committee
For 7 years.
It's as far as you know, when this thing's installed, it's going to be seamless. If the power goes out because for whatever reason, this generator is going to kick on, and it's going to be seamless. There's not going to be lights in one hallway that aren't going to work, or sewage pump. Everything's going to work.
Everything's supposed to be connected.
I'm hoping, only because to read the specs, it's very scary.
Well, see, this is what maybe you need to clarify it. You're saying that we need to wire this, we need to wire that, I thought, like Al thought, and I think pretty much all of us thought, that it was just going to the main power box, and, why do we need to wire to other things? Isn't it really just going to the main power box and it's running everything?
I think
It's running everything, but what if?
So you're talking about a second scenario where
A bypass.
if that generator fails, so this change order is...
Strictly for the wall outside to hang the transfer switch.
Well, that leads to my next question. Aren't we paying for them to put that transfer switch in the basement? Now they want to put it outside. Well, wasn't there labor and supplies built into them putting it in the basement? Shouldn't that be credited to them putting it outside?
Maybe it is. I'm not really aware of that fact.
Alan is...
we have Neil here. We need the architect.
Thank you.
To Neil. We need...
Neil, Venor Electric was going to let this 3,000-pound box hang on a piece of plywood outside of the building,
Yes, ma'am.
permanently.
Right.
Now, that to me would be like so substandard. Has the work up to this point been like, should we be out there checking everything? Because if that's a decision they made, then that is like one of the worst decisions. So everything else would have to be questioned.
It's like a car.
Yeah, the whole question is their competency is really making us all very nervous right now.
If you're going to hang plywood with 3,000 pounds in the elements outside, what else are you cutting corners on?
is Del Percio, the architect.
Yes, he's had an illness, Mayor, and he was unable to be here tonight. We could get him in for a future council meeting.
Del Percio, is his compensation include supervision of the project?
I'd have to review the contract. I can't speak to that off the top of my head.
Does he work in an office by himself? Is he a solo, or does he
I
have
think he's solo.
associates?
Bridgewood, I think.
I don't have answers to those questions.
All right, so let's put Mr. Del Percio on for the next meeting if he's available, if he's recovered, and then we can get all the questions.
How many weeks till the next council meeting?
Well, we have a work session on the 26th, but Mayor, I don't believe that, speaking with him, he's going to be available for the time.
The third.
The 3rd of December.
Third.
Can we ask Venor Electric why they would choose to
If
do
they're
that?
gonna come back with another change order after this one, then we want to see Mr. Del Percio.
With regard to this change order, as long as the council understands, we've been told that the work can't continue on the wall, the work on the generator will stop until this is resolved.
Yeah, no, I understand. This is,
That's the problem.
there's already a resolution on the agenda for this,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
There'll be an up or down vote on that.
Okay.
Well, you don't need a vote right now, right?
No.
No.
All right, thank you, Neil.
We will have
Thank you.
Mr. Percio in as soon as possible.
All right, moving right along, we have somebody here from American Traffic Solutions. Give us a presentation on red light cameras.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
How you doing? Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor,
how are you, sir?
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. Members of the council, Madam Clerk, Mr. VA. My name is Charles Colari, and I am a vice president in a firm called American Traffic Solutions. In the interest of some time, I thought what I would do is just kind of give you a brief background on our company, then I would jump into a little bit about the program in the state of New Jersey and kind of give you a high-level overview of the status of the program, and then we can certainly talk about anything specific. I'm sure you may have some questions. American Traffic Solutions is a leading provider of photo enforcement camera systems across the country. We have more than 350 clients, 3,500 systems deployed across about 26 different states. We're the largest provider of the technology, certainly in the metropolitan area. We've been selected by all of the major municipalities, New York City, Philadelphia, Yonkers, Nassau County. And again, we're capturing most of the business in the metropolitan area. It allows us to kind of leverage our resources across this part of the country to be able to provide service in New Jersey. Very, very unique to the program. The Corzine administration had adopted a pilot program back in 2008, which establishes again a temporary type of program under the auspices of the Department of Transportation to really take a look and evaluate the effectiveness of red light camera technology. And I'm quite sure most of the council members know that this is the use of sensors in the lanes, picking up the movement of vehicles as it crosses a stop bar, and a ticket is issued based upon the license plate configuration. So in New Jersey, again, the pilot program was established back in 2008. It's a 5-year pilot program, and the Department of Transportation has the auspices to kind of control the overall tone and the tempo of the program. Currently, there are 25 towns that have been selected, and we've been very, very fortunate overall. Our company has been selected by about 18 out of 25 towns, so those towns are all operational in the state. And this map kind of gives you some indication. Certainly, closest to yourselves would be Palisade Park, and Englewood Cliffs also has a program, but that's under the other vendor. So again, pilot program has been established to be able to determine the effectiveness of kind of managing a program like this. So they look at the engineering, they look at the enforcement, and they look at the educational aspect of whether or not the program is working the way that it's been designed. So we think that probably over the next several months, the Department of Transportation will be looking to kind of expand it and consider how well the overall success of the program is going at this point. I will tell you that right now we're seeing some tremendous reductions in violation rates where this type of technology has been deployed. There's been a change of behavior. Obviously, folks are getting a summons, and for the most part, recidivism rate is very, very low overall. I will tell you that again. What we are seeing is dramatic reductions in crashes and violation rates. So, as you might imagine, the violation rate starts out fairly high. As folks start to recognize that the use of this technology is out there, they change their behavior very, very quickly. And that's basically how DOT will determine whether or not the program has merit and whether or not it should be expanded to other locations. So, again, I can certainly answer whatever questions you may have. Participation in this program is based upon an application process. It's an application based upon the amount of traffic, the amount of congestion at a particular intersection, crashes that have occurred, and the number of violations that the police department capturing at a particular site, and whether or not it warrants participation in the program. Right now, the program has been frozen by the DOT in terms of expansion, but again, we think that probably over the next several months, they'll be looking at expanding the program and seeing how many additional towns they can add. As you might imagine, with 567 towns in the state of New Jersey and only 25 right now, I think there's plenty of room for growth and to be able to develop the program the way it's been designed. Again, I would, I'm prepared to answer any questions that you may have about the program. Sure.
That's right.
One of your biggest problems or things that people are complaining about is making the right-on red.
Sure.
And they seem to be getting a lot of tickets doing that. And so what is your...
A great question, Councilwoman. So let me tell you a little bit about how the technology works, and again, it's a great segue into how the system works in the state of New Jersey. All 4 tires have to be completely behind the stop bar before the system is triggered. So there's a lot of misnomers out there. Folks think that they're stuck in the middle of the intersection making a left-hand turn. We don't issue a summons based upon that. I'm making the right-hand turn and I'm also over the stop bar. Doesn't happen. So again, all 4 tires have to be completely behind the stop bar, and the light has to be completely red before the system triggers. Most police departments have instituted a threshold for right-on red enforcement. So whether you're in Piscataway or whether you're in Linden or Rollway or East Windsor or Lawrence Township, its full discretionary power is left at the police department, and for the most part, they have instituted a right-on red threshold. And what I'm saying is for enforcement purposes, most right-on reds are being issued somewhere in a range of 7 to 10 miles per hour. So if the car is traveling at that rate of speed, the police department will normally issue a summons for it. If it's less than that, typically their discretion allows them to reject it.
Alan?
Yeah.
Has there been any increase in rear-end accidents at these locations?
Mr. Administrator, great question. So I will tell you that there have been isolated instances where there have been slight increases of rear-end collision, and I say slight meaning percentage or 5%. It generally takes some time for folks to kind of get used to this technology, so there have been instances. I will tell you that the most serious types of crashes in terms of right angles and T-bones, as well as side swipes, have gone down significantly in all of our towns. So whether I like to refer to Powhatan Township, a little sleepy town up in Warren County on the Route 22, 78 area, had a tremendous amount of crashes because folks were basically going from Pennsylvania onto 78, and in about a year's time, they've experienced about a 50 to 60% reduction in crashes. So again, it changes driver behavior, and it changes very, very quickly overall.
Alphonse?
Does DOT provide a subsidy or a grant for this? How does...
A great question, Councilman. So let me tell you a little bit about the business model that we have. Essentially, the business model is a no out-of-pocket expense to the municipality. So we install, we operate, and we maintain the technology for the life of the contract, and we take a piece of, obviously, the revenue that's generated from the violation itself. The municipality doesn't have to incur any additional expense, and we also offer what we refer to as a revenue-neutral model, meaning that once we agree on the terms of the contract, if the program doesn't generate the revenue that we're saying, you don't pay us the amount. You only pay what comes in from the program. So let me give you some very, very specific examples, because that's probably a little easier. In most of our intersections across the state of New Jersey, our clients are paying about $19,000 a month per intersection, about $4,750 an approach per month. So the total amount is a $19,000 commitment. I will tell you that on average, most municipalities out of that one intersection are generating somewhere in a range of $50,000 to $100,000 a month. So there's, what I'm suggesting to you is that the volume here in New Jersey is so extraordinarily high because we're on commuter corridors and we have folks that are utilizing our roadways to go from one place to the other, that you just continue to issue summonses. While it reduces significantly, at that extraordinarily high number of volume, there's still enough that easily validates the program and supports the overall program.
So what's the percentage of decrease as, because like you said,
Sure.
people are going to get nailed starting off, but it's going to go down precipitously because people will learn, change their behavior, which will decrease
Sure.
revenue.
Well, let's use Glassboro, New Jersey, down at the college down there. College town, always new freshmen coming in each and every year. But again, this is New Jersey, so it takes a little time. It generally start off at somewhere in a range of about 1,000 to 1,200 summonses a month. But that's a classic example. The technology has been out there for about almost 2 years now, and it doesn't seem to go lower than 500. So it's cut in half about half, 50%. But it hasn't gone down.
When the driver takes us to court, whose responsibility is to go to court?
There's certainly a great question about the statute itself. So the statute is written in such a way, this is a lot like an easy pass violation, with the exception that it's in Title 39. So there are no points, no surcharge associated with it, and it's non-discoverable. However, the statute is written in such a way that the owner is presumed to be the driver of the vehicle, unless, of course, the owner presents an affidavit substantiating that he was not driving the vehicle at the time. The violation in terms of the collection rate from the Administrative Office of the Courts for this kind of technology is the highest in the history of motor vehicle violations in the state of New Jersey. We're sending out a notice, so we send out the first notice, regular mail. Second notice goes, same exact notice goes out, regular mail and certified mail. And then it directs the violator to go to a website where they put in a PIN number and they're able to look at their violation live viewing. So they look at 2 still shots, shows the vehicle completely behind the stop bar. The second still shot shows the vehicle in the middle of the intersection. And then what we like to consider as the most compelling evidentiary document that's there in terms of the data field, we offer a video clip, a 12-second video, which actually shows the vehicle driving through the intersection. As you might imagine, with that type of evidentiary packet, the collection rate is very, very high, somewhere in the 90% range, as well as the adjudication process in terms of guilt, very, very high. Nobody disputes it typically. Yes, ma'am.
What is the percentage of disputed tickets, and what's the percentage of tickets that are thrown out?
Yeah, very few thrown out overall. Disputed somewhere in 0.5% to 1%. So I will tell you, and this is classically how it happens. Most municipal court administrators schedule all the red light violators on the same day. And then what happens is the first case is adjudicated on a flat screen on the wall, and it shows all the information that I had just talked about. As you might imagine, the next 60 to 100 in the room wind up going and paying because the first person wound up receiving the court costs on top of it.
Question for Chief, did you see this before?
I have seen this before, yes.
Your recommendation?
Well, I have a couple of questions I'd like to speak to some of the chiefs that are involved in the program already that have these cameras in place in New Jersey. There are particular court rules, et cetera, that apply to the summonses, and it is, as you stated, a pilot program that's presently closed for new applicants.
It is.
I have 2 questions on that.
Sure.
Front, if I may.
Yep.
Number one, what indications do you have that at this date is a likelihood that the program's going to be opened up again? First of all. And
Sure.
the second one is, for a town like ours where our greatest traffic volume is on Kingsmouth Road, between 18 and 20,000 vehicles a day on Kingsmouth Road, a 24-hour period. How do you target a specific location where you think this would be effective? What are the parameters that are used to make the decision?
Sure. Well, Chief, the answer to your first question, as you might imagine, it's we have presented some very, very compelling data to the DOT to kind of motivate them and influence them to urge the administration to expand the program. And when I say compelling data, I had already shared with you that we have dramatic reductions in violation rates. So the town is starting off with 1,000 summonses when they first turn the system on, and I like to refer to it as almost like the honeymoon stage. People have gotten used to it after 4 or 5 months. Now it goes down precipitously, very, very quickly, to that 500 mark. But on top of that, we're seeing dramatic reductions in crashes, which is essentially what the DOT is looking for. So again, we're offering that information up to the DOT. On an annual basis, they have to submit a report to the legislature, so they're in the process of doing that, basically for 2011 right now. They still haven't gotten the 11 report out. Again, it shows dramatic reductions. I will tell you that lots of legislators have expressed an interest in wanting to see it in their, districts. So my answer is that I believe that there's probably enough room for modest expansion over the next, 6 to 9 months. I think what DOT is looking for is enough of a window to be able to include this in the overall program. So the program is not done until December of 2014. We think that probably over the next 6 months we'll approve a good number of towns and then cut it off at that point.
Considering that, I'm assuming some of the threshold has to do with accident reduction, as you said. In our town, 2 square miles, almost 2 miles straight of that is on Kingdom Road. There's between 450 and 500 accidents a year. A good portion of those are rear-end accidents to start with, which I've heard, on the flip side, as Councilwoman Murphy brought up, is one of the drawbacks to the programs. There's a suggestion that there's an increase in rear-end accidents caused by the technology itself, where people who would otherwise pass through an intersection suddenly jam on new brakes and get rear-end. We have a couple of pockets in town where that normally happens because of street configuration. Obviously, nobody wants to bring in a potential for increasing accidents, and I know that's not your goal. So, again, getting to the second part, what is your criteria? You have a town that's got between 450 and 500 accidents over the entire town. We're generally generating a vicinity of 2,500 to 3,000 motor vehicle summonses a year in our department. And that's not because the violations aren't there, it's because they don't have the manpower to vote the traffic enforcement, so that's where this becomes a tool. But how do you pinpoint the locations and what criteria go into that?
Well, again, typically we work with the police department like yourself to identify, areas that have been fairly problematic. And when I say problematic, some efforts have been underway in order to correct it or change the behavior. So whether it's a particular intersection or a part of the municipality that where you've had reoccurring rates and you haven't been able to, that would be the first place that we would start. I will tell you that DOT looks at all of those factors as well as crashes, citations, and design of the location to be able to weigh the overall application in terms of approving this. So they've established a threshold from a formula based upon crashes, citations, and traffic flow and other variables. Once they score that, only then would we know whether or not it meets the requirement.
What about any criteria that there's a multi-jurisdictional roadway? Kingdom Road is both a county as well as a municipal road, so we have in some areas there's limitations on what enforcement we can put into effect on the county roadway as opposed to an interior street where we have full discretion.
Yep. And Chief, that segues nicely into how it breaks down, because we just explained the jurisdiction. So the red light camera violation summons is a $85 fine. $46 goes to the municipality, $27.50 goes to the county, and $11.50 goes to the state of New Jersey. The county derives some jurisdictional and responsibility to the program. If the county doesn't want to participate in the program, then they would forego that revenue, and that revenue would go to the municipality. However, if it was on a county roadway, the county would ultimately have to sign off on, authorizing the town to participate in the program. So I'll give you the example of Palisade Park, for example. They're not sharing in the revenue of the county, so Pal Park gets $73.50, and the county had to sign off on it.
The county signed off on it because it was a county road?
Yes, sir.
Why would they do that? Why would they give up the
Great question, Mayor.
revenue?
I will tell you that it was in the initial stages of the program. Quite candidly, I'm not sure that everyone understood the scale and the size of the program when it was first rolled out.
Okay.
That location at Route 46 and Broad Street in Palisade, is somewhere in the range of about 1,800 summonses a month.
What's the normal length of the contract?
Most of our contracts in the state of New Jersey have been 5-year contracts, 3 years with 2 one-year options.
So how can you have a contract that extends beyond the pilot program?
Quite simply, Mayor, there's a provision in there to protect the municipality that if the program loses its enabling legislation, the township isn't responsible for anything.
Okay.
And also, there's a percentage that it's like a 70-30, I believe, with your company?
Well, I think our competitor may be 70/30, we're not 70/30, but I had shared with you the one pricing model that we have classically used here in New Jersey, which seems to work best for the municipality. So, as you might imagine, I'm a lifelong New Jersey guy. In order for this program to work, I recognize that the municipality has the sovereign right to issue the summons, so the vendor has to make the least amount of money. So when I tell you that we're charging $4,750, that's based upon a fixed number, $19,000 basically. Our rates generally run somewhere in the range of somewhere between 10 and 25% in terms of the gross number, usually, depending on how many summonses are being issued, classic. And I say revenue neutral again. Let's say that for whatever reason you didn't bring in that $19,000, you would not owe us the money. That's not the case here, though, in New Jersey. Not one town. Not 1 month, and not one town.
What would happen if the roadway itself were closed down in the area of that red light camera for an extended construction?
Sure.
Are you still over the road?
You don't, Chief, and we have that example happening right now in Powell Park. We shut down the overpass because they're working. We urged DOT, we said that we'll do anything to expedite this construction, whether or not we have to pay for the road to be blocked off, whatever we have to do in order to make, for the town to be able to do the program. No, they said, shut it down, so we shut it down, and we're taking it on the chin.
At what point do you, like, if you have this 5-year contract and you don't start seeing revenues, what if everybody is in compliance and, after the first year, you don't see any violations? What happens?
Hasn't happened.
Well, that's a great question. I think typically, we've been asked that question, what if you put yourself out of business? And tongue-in-cheek, again, I told you, we're all from New Jersey. This is not going to happen.
All right, can I get that? Wait, hold it.
Of course you
A
can.
video?
It's not going to happen. We're doing our best in some of the most rural areas like Cohasset, for example. It still has the traffic flow. It's New Jersey. It's the way we're configured.
So your company is taking applications even though there's a current freeze?
Sure.
Because you believe that once DOT reviews the data, they're gonna lift the freeze and maybe expand the program a little bit.
You're right on point, Mayor. So I will tell you that again. I said there are 18 out of 25 NJDOT approved towns that have selected us. In addition to these 18, there's another 40 towns that we have contracts within the state of New Jersey that have selected us as their approved vendor, and we have to go through a formal procurement process. So you'd put out an RFP like any other type of spec. We would obviously respond to it, as well as our competitor here in New Jersey is Redflex. And they're a very, very good company, but we're doing a little better than they are for various reasons. So again, you haven't expended any funds, and we have some confidence that if we're selected, one of the things that we do is we prepare your application for you. So we actually go through the traffic study, the analysis with the police department, the preparation of all those stages. And again, as you might imagine, Mayor, it's several $1,000 investment, but we're fairly confident that based upon the preliminary success of the program, the legislature will expand the program, and we're willing to certainly make a commitment.
All right.
Do you know what the governor's opinion about this is?
Well, I'm not sure what his entire opinion is, but I heard the governor on 101.5 several occasions say, just stop on red. As simple as that. Don't worry if you're going through a red light, you're going to get a violation. I will tell you that the controversy in terms of some of the recent comments from the legislative delegation out there that's been bashing the program. I think in some regard, there's a lot of misinformation, and I think we're finally getting to a point where we're able to kind of, communicate exactly how this program is being managed and how it's working. I think there was a lot of concern that everything was right on reds, and I'll tell you that the right on reds are probably somewhere in a range of about 40% of the violation rate. But again, Mayor and council members, I'm not talking about right on reds, slow rolling 5 and 6 mile per hour right on reds. I'm talking about 15 and better.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Kalari.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor and council members. Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I'd be happy to answer any other questions at another time.
Okay. You gonna skip number 2? We don't have,
Tom wasn't here, he's going to make it.
okay.
Yes, it is.
Number 3, sidewalk repairs. Alan? Mayor, if I may, I issued a memorandum to the mayor and council with regard to the storm damage to sidewalks. We do have an ordinance in place which places the responsibility on the homeowner for this task. We provided the mayor and council with a copy of that. We have not rehabilitated sidewalks like this that have been storm damaged in the past, so it has not been our past practice. Even where we have reconstructed sidewalks, we currently have a program of special assessments or local improvements where the homeowner would receive a bill from us for doing so. At a recent FEMA applicant briefing meeting, I asked a question about the restoration of sidewalks as to whether they would be FEMA eligible, and if it seems to me, it's my opinion in terms of the answer, that where you have an ordinance which places the responsibility on a homeowner or commercial enterprise, that would be considered private property, and it would not be FEMA eligible. If that ordinance was not in place, and it was clearly the town that was responsible for the right-of-way, then yes, FEMA would provide a 75% eligibility criteria. I did not receive a list of the various locations, but we do know that there are dozens of trees that came down during the storm. It's basically the report I have on the sidewalks.
Okay. Well, we got to talk about this because we have quite a few sidewalk slabs that are up, and they pose a dangerous condition, and we either have to make a policy decision to put the burden on the homeowner to affect the new sidewalks, or if we're going to enter into a program either under, our capital budget or through a FEMA application to begin this sidewalk replacement, because the sidewalks were damaged as a result of, borough shade trees. So I'll open it up to the council for comments and to state their position. Alphonse.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not comfortable charging a resident to have to fix a sidewalk that was damaged as a result of one of our trees. I mean, it was our tree that caused the problem. We should pay to have to repair the sidewalk. I mean, I just don't see that it's right to hit a citizen, who had a tree, potentially if the tree fell on their lawn, it fell on their house, and then we're going to hit them with an assessment to repair the sidewalk caused by that tree. That just seems wrong to me. So I think we should have that as either part of our capital budget next year, or just something to pay for that.
I would agree with Councilman Bartoloni. It's our tree, a borough tree, and the inconvenience, a lot of their homes were damaged, and it shouldn't be on them to fix the sidewalk.
Any other opinions around the table?
I don't have an opinion, I just have a question with what Alan said. Alan, are you saying that since we have an ordinance that requires the homeowner to repair the sidewalk, are you saying then therefore we would not be eligible for any FEMA reimbursement?
That's how I understand the process. Certainly when we have a FEMA representative here who will assist us in preparing our projects, we will make mention of the fact that these sidewalks have been damaged, and they will make a determination as to whether to put together a project application for them. But from the applicant briefing that we had, that question was raised, and that was the answer that was given, as I heard. Certainly try again. There's no harm in trying a second time, but that's what this one representative gave as an answer.
My concern is just, I agree with what Al and Kathleen have said, but my concern is, what sort of expense are we looking at? I mean, if we're really going to absorb 100% of this, are we talking about absorbing 100, are we talking about a $15,000 bill, a $50,000 bill, a $150,000 bill? I mean, I would like to have some general idea so that I could make, I'd like to support this. I think I agree with what Al and Kathleen have said, but, I'd like to know what we're supporting.
We have to get the low, that would be John Lynch, right, John Lynch?
Yes,
John Lynch
trees.
will give us a schedule of all the locations where trees were uprooted and caused damage to slabs. If he includes a slab count, because that's the way these sidewalk masons price jobs, based upon the uniform slab, which is like, I don't know, 4 by 8 or something like that. I don't know what the size of the slab is, but it's a certain amount per slab.
Yeah.
If we know the locations and we know how many slabs, we could do the math and we could figure out what the approximate cost is going to be, and we can decide whether or not we want to put that money into the capital budget, whether we want to bid it out, whether we want to give the option for the homeowner, if they want to have adjacent slabs replaced at their own cost, they can take advantage of the rate that the borough has. I also asked Alan to check with the Riverside Cooperative to see if they intend on doing anything on a more regional scale to get us even a better price. Alan, maybe he can comment on that, whether he's...
It's on the agenda for Wednesday.
It's on the agenda for Wednesday's Riverside Cooperative meeting. Kathleen?
Alan, you had sent us something earlier that it made it seem like FEMA would cover this. Is this are you...
Not to my knowledge.
No? The way I read it from what you wrote, it seemed like that there was a chance that it could be covered by FEMA.
There's a possibility. I wouldn't be really optimistic that FEMA's going to cover it. Only our sidewalk ordinance isn't a model of
Sidewalk
clarity.
ordinances.
It talks about that sidewalks shall be maintained by the property owner. It doesn't say anything about, this situation where there's been, where there's been a shade tree that's, ripped up the slats or anything like that. So, we'll have to see.
And we'll develop some more information there and report back.
All right, I think we have a general direction where the council wants to head on this issue, but we need more information to see what we're really getting into. All right, thank you. Let's see, what else do we have left here? Put my glasses back on. Generator update, we already did that, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And pedestrian improvement update, that's for the chief.
We've received, as of today, all of the sign stanchions that were ordered for pedestrian crossings. We have all of the markouts in place. The work orders are also in place. DPW was contacted today. They understandably been backed up to the storm cleanup. They're a bit behind on leaf pickup as we speak. They're going to be taking another look tomorrow. They had a couple of members out additionally. They are going to be taking a look tomorrow as a potential starting date for installation. We have the 4 locations that are immediately going to be put in place that are at non-signalized intersections will be the first ones to go in.
Alan?
At the emergency management applicant briefing meeting, I did approach Gary Ascalise, county engineer, and he acknowledged having received our request and assured me that the county would be doing their end of it and undertaking the study that would be necessary.
Change the speed limit?
Yes, he included both the stanchions and the speed limit.
What
Okay.
about painting out the crosswalks? Does that have to be redone?
On any of the county roads that we discussed today as part of a couple of different projects that are underway, on non-county roads in the entire municipality, it's nothing more than just approval internally. Getting that done from outside approval.
All right, thank you. Any other unfinished business? No? Any new business? Can we go right into the, Kathleen?
Just wanted to ask Alan about this stormwater project. The bids that we got for that, and what we put aside for it.
We have a bond ordinance of $100,000. Bob Costa will be appearing at the next meeting to discuss the bid and the various options.
All right, can I have a motion to adjourn the work session and to go into the 8 o'clock meeting?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. All right, let's call the 8 o'clock meeting to order. This is the meeting of the River Edge Mayor and Council for Monday, October 19th. It is now 8 p.m. Can we all stand for a moment of silent prayer and reflection? I'd like to take a moment to wish Councilman Mignon a speedy recovery so that he's back up to full duty very soon. Can I have Councilman Bartoloni lead us in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by sending notices on December 23rd, 2011 to the Record and the Ridgewood News. We positioned notice on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Borough Hall, and we filed notice with the municipal clerk. We'd like to remind the public that we have 3 emergency exits in council chambers, 1 to the rear and 2 to the front. We are being recorded both by sound and by video. Any member of the public that wishes to make a statement and be seen as well as heard, you'd only stand, address the mayor and council, give us your name and address, and approach the microphone. Okay, can I have a roll call, please, Denise?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Ford?
Here.
Councilman Paula?
Here.
Councilman Rivera? Councilman Bartoloni?
Here.
Councilman Papaleo?
Here.
And Mayor Mascaratola?
Here, thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the mayor and council for the regular meeting of November the 5th, 2012?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right, we had a proclamation for a resident, Mr. Campagna, who turned 100 years old on, November the 4th, that we've already taken care of. We have one item on appointments and personnel changes, which is to approve the hire of Thomas Decker of Fair Lawn as a Step 1 laborer, 2 in the Department of the Public Works at an annual salary of $27,540 with a 6-month probationary period effective November 26, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right, for the benefit of the public, we have various correspondence and notices that are listed on the agenda that are available for your perusal at the clerk's office. In addition, we have monthly reports from the Volunteer Ambulance Service, the Environmental Protection Commission, the Building Department, the Tax Collector, and the Library, all for the month of October. Liaison reports, Councilwoman Murphy, Shade Tree, Library, Senior Citizen, Co-Liaison, Technology, Special Events, and New Milford River Edge Shared Services.
Thank you, Mayor. The one report that I will give today is with the senior citizens. Today was their 40th anniversary at Temple Avodah Shalom. They had a luncheon. Councilman Capola, yourself, Tom Smith, and many other people were there. I counted about 80 people that were in attendance today. And it was very nice. They had dancing. They had a beautiful lunch served from Victor's Neighborhood Inn. And Shade Tree is meeting on Thursday. The library, they are still working on the tile mural project, and they have concern about the decrease in funding that's going to affect them next year. They anticipate about $44,000 reduction due to the decrease in revenues. And that's it.
Thank you. Council President Courts, DPW beautification, New Milford River Edge Shared Services, Oradell River Edge Shared Services.
Nothing in depth, but I talked to John Lynch last week regarding the DPW and just about the storm cleanup, and I didn't really get a solid report on it. He just told me that they were ahead of the game and things are working out. Since the election, the hold on New Milford River Edge Shared Services and Oradell Shared Services are going to have to be picked up after the new seating. That's about it.
All right, thank you. Councilman Capola, Historic Commission, Traffic and Safety Committee.
Yes, I have a report for Historic, and Mayor, as you know, I was not president of the Traffic and Safety Committee. Historic Commission meeting this past October. There's a new board member that was to fill an old vacancy. Joanne Kristen was selected to fill a vacancy this October. And the oral history of River Edge is continually being updated. It's a very large task, and it's only being done by one person. And then we had Mr. Robert Greska appear before the board in October to present his case and hear the position of the River Edge Historic Commission, placing a particular restriction on his home, 56 Spring Valley Road, because it's designated a historic building as to what he can and can't do to the facade of the front of his home, decor-wise. Mr. Greska was very upset with the proposal from the River Edge Historic Commission as it pertains to the front facade of his house. A heated debate followed, and exchanges took place, particularly between Mr. Greska and Historic Commission member Phyllis Angelo. The proposed law pertaining to Mr. Greska's property in the house he resides in has to do with the material, the decor, and the look to the front of his home. This Historic Commission at River Edge is proposing that he or anyone that may purchase the house in the future keep the current historic look to the front facade of the house. This mandate would not affect the side, back, or interior of Mr. Greska's home. Mr. Greska does not want and will probably fight this possible law to be placed on him by the Commission via the Council. Mayor and Council can expect to address this issue in the immediate future.
Interesting.
It will be interesting. It got hot. It got hot, yeah. It was very emotional for Mr. Greska.
For the sleepy Historic Commission, right?
Yeah, I tell you, boy, I was surprising, real big surprise. I'm like, did I ask for this?
And just for the record, it was the Contracts Committee meeting that you had a conflict with, not Traffic and Safety.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
I'd like to, I would like to schedule a Traffic and Safety Committee so we can coordinate with the chief and the county what the next steps are regarding pedestrian safety and a complete streets program. Councilman Mignon is not here. Wish him a speedy recovery. Councilman Bartoloni, Recreation Commission, the River Edge and Riverdale School, Special Events, and Senior Citizen Co-Liaison.
Thank you, Mayor. The Recreation Commission met last week. They're working on their capital budget for 2013, and they're also their operating expenses. And it looked good from what I saw in terms of their operating expenses for the upcoming year. And in terms of programming, December 1st is the tree lighting ceremony. It's going to start at the library and progress down Tenney out front. They have some concerns. They're hoping the tree is going to be there. I told them whatever it takes. If I have to go to Home Depot, get a tree, stick it in the ground, we'll do that just so we have something. It's a cut tree. It wouldn't be a live tree. Just so they had something to light for the ceremony. So, but hopefully we can get shade tree. Have that taken care of.
What is the day of the lighting?
It's December 1st.
December 1st.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
right around the corner.
It's right around the corner. Beyond that, let's see, they also have December 13th. I don't know if there's any tickets available, but you can call the rec office for the Radio City Christmas Spectacular Thursday. That's at 8 o'clock performance, and that's a Thursday. Special events, I think we're meeting tomorrow night. So we're going to start going over, what we'll be working on for the coming year. And that's about it.
All right, thank you. Well, while we're on the subject of the Christmas tree lighting, we have members of the Shade Tree Commission here. Maybe they can just... Okay, great. It'll be there. Hopefully, if we have lights to put on it, it won't fall over after we plug it in.
Stake it.
All right. All right, any other reports?
I don't know the time yet.
What?
No, Councilman Quartz asked me what time the tree lighting was.
I think 4 o'clock.
Is it 4 o'clock? 4? Yeah. You guys would know, because you're in charge of getting Santa down.
You completed your reports?
Yes.
Okay.
So.
Councilman Papaleo, fire prevention, construction code, property maintenance, River Edge Alliance Against Alcohol and Drugs.
Thank you, Mayor. The River Edge Alliance Against Alcohol and Drugs chairperson has sent me a report dated the 19th today. As the year is coming to an end, the River Edge Alliance Against Drugs has been busy funding some very important programs at Riverdale High School. A total of $892.68 was awarded to the Riverdale High School for their first volunteer fair entitled Hawks Have Heart. Students and parents spent the night visiting various volunteer groups and were able to sign up as volunteers. A student who is busy volunteering is less likely to get involved in substance abuse. The monies were used to send mailings, decorate, and give out promotional bags with the Reed logo. Small amount of money is left in the 2012 budget. Will be used to fund an additional program at the Riverdale High School and to purchase some educational materials for our middle school. The budget was prepared for the 2012-2013 year and will reflect need for our school and community. The chairperson is constant contact with the counselors and the PTO chairpersons to help fund the wonderful programs being offered in our town. There is nothing to add for the construction code or property maintenance, except for the report that has already been submitted to the council. Fire department and fire prevention. The fire department, if I have my numbers right, and I may not, if memory serves, the fire department has done about 261 calls of that this year. Of that, 120 were for the Hurricane Sandy response. I believe there were over or about 95 just within the first 48 hours. Fire department also, as I reported last time, and thanked them for their service, went down to, they went to Little Ferry for a while, and they went down to Toms River. And we received, and if I may indulge, call upon the council's indulgence, I'd just like to read just a few of the thank you notes. Fire departments never received this, but for the work that they have done through Sandy in different locations, including River Edge, Little Ferry, and down by the Toms River area. Here are some from local students. Dear staff at the River Edge Fire Department, thank you to those who went down to Toms River to assist their fire service brothers. Thank you for the members who were tasked with patrolling the Bayside neighborhoods, looking for generators in garages and unsafe conditions, and assisting residents with any issues in their home and delivering water and food to them, and unloading truckloads of donations from the American Red Cross trailers. And this came from Jackie L. Just a few more brief ones, if I may. To the entire staff of the River Edge Firehouse. By the way, this is just 4. They received a stack of them. There is no way to thank you enough for the hard work, time, and dedication that you put into the town and those surrounding it in this unfortunate disaster that has just in Hurricane Sandy. Sorry, child's handwriting. It was you guys that were here to help anyone in need, no matter when they needed it, and we would not have been able to something from the storm without you. Thank you. I believe this was from a child in River Edge. Here's another one. By the way, that was from Ian B. Dear River Edge Fire Department, thank you for your hard work during Hurricane Sandy. Thanks for the working overtime to putting out fires that were started by electrical wires and transformers. You really helped to give back to the community. Thank you again. This was from Kyle. I believe this was also River Edge. And the last one that I may read is from Christine W. Dear River Edge Fire Department, thanks very much for all your hard work that you have been doing for those in need who were affected by Hurricane Sandy. I have not been affected as bad as some people, but I have seen and heard how much you have been doing to help rescue people. All your devotion is appreciated everywhere. The news recently showed Little Ferry and all the damage that happened, and I thought it was amazing how many workers were helping. You guys are truly heroes. So again, to our fire department, thank you, and for all that you do as volunteers. We cannot be grateful enough. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have no ordinances on for first reading. We have 2 ordinances on for second reading, which means that we have to have a public hearing. First ordinance is 1771, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the Borough of River Edge, Chapter 206, entitled Fees for Benefit of the Public. From time to time, we review our fee schedule, and we amend the fees so that they are on par with other municipalities. In addition, sometimes we change fees so that they are more, they have more clarity, like tonight, part of Ordinance 1771 amends the outside police duty fee to make sure that it's per hour. In addition, we are enacting a fee of $25 for banners, since we get quite a lot of banner requests, which puts a strain on our DPW staff. So, with those introductory comments, we'll open the hearing to the public. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Okay, the public hearing is open on ordinance number 1771, and only 1771. If anyone has a comment regarding this proposed ordinance regarding fees, then they can be heard. Anybody have any comments? All right. Seeing nobody, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now that the public hearing is closed, can I have a motion for the final adoption of ordinance number 1771?
So moved.
Second.
Can I have a roll call, Denise?
Councilman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Ford?
Yes.
Councilman Capola?
Yes.
Councilman Barone?
Yes.
And Councilman Capolet?
Yes.
All right, next is ordinance number 1773. That is an ordinance amending Chapter 384, the Borough Shade Tree Ordinance. For the benefit of members of the public, we've been working on this ordinance for quite some time. It's gone through multiple revisions. It's had input from the Shade Tree Commission, of course, from our borough attorney, from members up here on the dais. It's had input from, or we heard from members of other Shade Tree Commissions, including Paramus. We received input from Public Works. So I think that we've tweaked it just about as much as it can be tweaked. Can I have a motion to open, have a public hearing on ordinance number 1773 regarding the shade tree ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right, the hearing is open to the public. Would anybody have a comment or want to ask a question regarding the revised proposed shade tree ordinance? All right. Don't see anybody. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Denise, can I have a roll call?
Councilman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Ford?
Yes.
Councilman Capola?
Yes.
Councilman Barone?
Yes.
And Councilman Capolet?
Yes.
All right. All right, I want to thank Liz Stewart and the Shade Tree Commission for all your hard work. All right, resolutions by consent. Would any member of the governing body like to pull out for separate consideration any resolution for discussion or vote? No? All right, can I move resolutions 12-390 up to and including, well, we don't have our finance chair here today, so let's include everything up to 12-404, unless anyone has an objection. No? All right, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right, I can open up the meeting to the general public on any issue affecting their well-being. If any member of the public wishes to make a comment, ask a question, make a statement, they only need to stand up. Let me hear from Peggy first.
If you'd like 741 Central Avenue, several things. First, I want to applaud the fire department for going to other places as well as River Edge to help other people during the hurricane problems. The police department for keeping us safe with all those lights that were out, and we can try to cross streets especially at night. And our DPW, of course, and they're still working on it. And the volunteer ambulance corps probably had to go out on many a call during the darkness and what have you. So I want to applaud all of them because I'm sure they did an outstanding job. That's number one. And then I want to thank you, Mayor, for speaking up in favor of the blue law, because we have to keep the blue law in our area. We really don't need all those parts that come from everywhere.
Right.
And I wish to thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Peggy.
Okay, and then my last thing was on the trees, was you talking about the trees being, the people have to pay for it. Number one, if you change it right now in this hurricane, then you also have to help the people in Hurricane Irene who had to pay for that. Because we have one neighbor that I know had to pay for her and her husband, and it was a town tree that was knocked down by Hurricane Irene. And she shouldn't have had to pay for it. As far as I'm concerned, I agree with the people who say that we shouldn't be doing it. If they're town trees, town should pay for it. Period. But I know it's expensive. I realize it's expensive, but it doesn't all have to be right away.
Right.
But I know that you're going to hear from the people from Hurricane Irene who paid for it. If you decide, okay, Hurricane Sandy, they can get it partially paid for. Even if you had done that for Hurricane Irene, you know, at least partially say to the people, well, you can pay for part of it and we'll pay for part of it. There just can't be two separate hurricanes. So I would be afraid if I were you to change it, unless you want to do something about that.
All right, thank you, Peggy. Yes. Our OEM coordinator.
Good evening, Mayor. Tom Smith, 288 Manning Avenue. Just two items. First thing I want to talk about is the shade tree, and I've spoken to Liz Stewart on this a couple of times. After the storm, where there were so many trees that came down, curb trees in particular, we were talking about, future, because this is at least the second time in recent years where we've had a similar situation to this. And two things really come out of it from my discussion with Liz. One is that they are starting to look at trees that will be smaller than the very large 40-some-odd oaks and others that we have out there, so that the trees in the future will not have that kind of bulk. And the top of the trees will, and I asked her to do, and I just asked her again now, is to check with the ordinance that requires that a home can be just so close to the street or whatever, and I think it's around 25 or 30 feet. I'm not sure exactly what that number is, but somewhere in that range.
Yeah, we just had, at the planning board, when we discussed zoning changes, we reviewed the front yard setback, and it's 30 feet.
It's 30-foot setback.
Except that there are a couple, like Park Avenue, on Park Avenue, the houses are only 20 feet.
Right.
They have a 20-foot setback.
And we were talking about that if you have 30 and you're putting out a tree that's up 40, the odds are that if the tree ever comes down, it's going to hit that house, as in the instance of these. The other thing, so they're looking at putting in smaller trees. She's committed to doing that to find species that will still give the beauty of the shade tree, but also be reduced in size or in bulk. And sometimes the trees just grow a certain height, and then the rest is lighter branches at the top. That's not so bad if you have a light branch coming down versus a two-ton trunk coming down on top of your roof or even on your steps. And the second thing is, and I've noticed this in the last really bad storm we had, where we had to get cranes to come in and take trees off the houses and so on and so forth, that there is a preponderance of when people get sidewalks done and contractors come in, and I don't want to generalize or criticize any one contractor, but very often, instead of what they're supposed to do, which is to manage around the root system, they just take a high-speed saw and they just cut the root system right on the inside part of the curb of the sidewalk, just eliminating that section. And if it's 2 or 3 pieces of sidewalk that they're replacing, that much of the root, the strength root that is helping hold that tree in place. My recommendation to the board or to the representative of the building department, perhaps to follow up with the building department, is to see if there's anything in the ordinances currently that says that the building inspector, when he goes out to do the inspection, should be checking for that before they pour. So that might be something they would add. I know that would make a difference, because I remember the last time I was out with John Lynch and we were looking at so many of the trees that came down, you could see where those roots were just cut. And it changes the dynamic of the tree, because the roots, obviously, aside from securing water, they're also what holds that tree in place. So that's something I'm going to continue to pursue, and I'm not sure who's got the building department on the council. Okay, maybe I can pursue that with you. And the reason I'm really concerned about this is because the majority of the poles that snapped and wires came down, they came down and they snapped because of the trees interacting with the wires and coming down with that very heavy branches, limbs, and trunks. So if we can fix one side of that problem, I think we can reduce some of the problems in future storms, because there will be future storms.
Right.
Okay. The second thing is, I'm also going to pursue, at the current time, the library, and as you all know, the library was closed throughout the whole time that we had the lack of power and so on and so forth. The library, of all the buildings that we have in the borough, is by far the best place for us to have cooling centers and temporary shelters. It has everything right on one floor. It has the kitchen facilities. It has places for many, many people to sit and to relax and take some time off from being in a house that's cold. What it lacks is a generator. So the first thing I did was talk to John Lynch and asked him whether or not the portable generator that they have is something that we could use. And he said, certainly, but even though I have a generator at the pump station, I would always want a backup for the generator at the pump station, because in an hour's time, we're in big trouble at the pump station. So it's something, as we move through this year and into the budget season, I'll come back to the council with some information on that, but I think that's a critical piece. It is the police department's backup for radio communications, I believe, if something happens to this building, and it could be a cooling center and a shelter for our residents. So I think it has multiple purposes and use, but without a generator, it's pretty much shut down just the way it was. So I'll come back to the council again with some recommendations on that. And those are the 2 highlights that came out. And the third thing that came out from the storm was that we do not have, in many of our radios in the emergency side of the house, we do not have the frequency of the DPW in those radios. And that's a big hole. That meant that most of the time, the fire department and other agencies could not communicate via radio to DPW. We've got to get that one fixed. I'm going to try and get that one fixed in this year's budget so that we can have that in place before the winter sets in. Other than that, I did talk to all the different department heads that were involved in the emergency, and really overall, I think we came out of it pretty well, considering the type of storm it was.
Thank you. Thank you for the update.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Can I have a motion to close the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Council comments. Councilwoman Murphy.
I have no comment.
Paul.
No comment.
Anthony.
I enjoyed my time at SCORE today for the anniversary and the 100th birthday.
Yeah. Alphonse?
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And I'll talk to Ed soon, but I wish, go out to him. And that's about it.
Thomas?
Mayor, we are going back into work session after this, right?
No.
I thought we wanted to have an opportunity to speak to the chief about
The chief can do that during any public session. He just has to ask that it be put on the agenda, just, he'll make a presentation, just like he's done all along. It doesn't have to be a work session, doesn't have to be, it can't be closed,
No comments, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Well, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Denise?
The mayor, the chief is waiting here because we discussed doing something in the public meeting after the closed session.
Which is why I brought it
Oh,
up.
I thought the chief was just going to make it...
You don't need to go into session on that on my account. I only have one question, which says a point. When we went through appointments, before we closed, was it necessary for tonight's appointment to be listed, or can that be done at a later date, or will it make any difference?
Yeah, we're just going to put a formal resolution on, right?
Mayor,
I mean, I don't really care how it's...
No, we'll have
How
we'll
it's-
make
how
it
it's
part of
done.
our personnel changes. I guess it's pending receipt of a legal opinion. So once we get the legal opinion, we can do that at the next public meeting.
So we can move ahead with the schedule, assuming there's no problem with that, we can move ahead with the appointment date on December.
Yes, December 3rd.
It's got to, we have to swear in, we have to have a swearing in and everything.
Right, we'll do that on December 3rd.
As far as the other issue, I will schedule in advance of another session to do that in the near future. Concern over
Yep.
personnel.
Yeah, we can put it on the next work session.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, can I have some news from the CHIP meeting?
Okay.
I'm sorry.